Work session?
Yeah.
Hang on to this?
Sure.
Sorry.
Cheers now.
My thought is we should think we plug in
It's happening on campus. That's not a
I don't want to short unless we roll.
you're talking about the new bridge corridor.
That's his secret. You gotta trust yourself a little bit.
This is really putting in some minor improvements on it. Not following. I have seen that. Let me find out. That's you guys right there.
Hi. Good, how are you doing? Yes. I like the hats. This is here, but here comes
You good? How you doing? Very good. Hi.
Good breathing.
Yeah, it's busy.
Part of it will be used for weight loss.
What do you guys have me up at? You have like a sharp PDF? You might want to, the reason why
That's gotta work.
we're bringing a new one, and we're bringing a new one replaced, and it's not registered. So when you open up PowerPoint, it'll keep asking you for registration numbers and that crap. You might, in your back pocket, you might want to have that. But do it just a free discussion.
This side.
So I'm trying to get a new one. So I'm going to get on to you. It's okay if you want to.
I will. Thanks everybody for in the audience tonight. If you want to address the council, we have a sign-up sheet for unscheduled public comment. Please do that in 30 seconds. Very Katie. Yes. Well, it's a couple of minutes till 7, but we have a very long agenda tonight, so we're going to go ahead and get started. It is 6:59. We bring this meeting to order February 11th, 2019. Thanks everybody for being here with us. First, we need to do roll call.
Michael Tillman.
Here.
Scott Riddell.
Here.
Casey Stokes. Here. Mark Baldwin.
Here.
Mike Buick.
Here.
John Curtis. Jason Siegel.
Here.
Please stand with us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. It's nice to see all the chairs being filled up. Okay, we have an agenda in front of us, and I need a motion, please.
I'll move to approve the agenda for February 11th, 2019.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion?
Yes.
Is this a modification? Was this maybe on the first, Diane?
Yes,
The
but
sec-
it's made as a public hearing.
To our agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda for February 11th, 2019 with the amendments.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll move on. Does anybody on council feel we have a conflict of interest tonight? Hearing none. Minutes, do I have a motion?
Move to approve the minutes from January 28th, 2019.
And a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion? No typos, no name changes? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We'll move to the approval of the bills. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve the bills for February 11th, 2019.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Pretty straightforward this time.
Yeah.
It wasn't 18 pages.
Don't have anything, Jason?
No.
All good? You guys?
Really?
Hey, now our meeting just got cut in half.
Because I'm not asking
Because Jason's not asking questions. Okay, hearing none, roll call.
Michael Hillman.
Yes.
Scott Pennell.
Yes.
Tracy Stokes. Yes. Bob Boland.
Yes.
Mike Bewley.
Yes.
John Curtis, Jason Siegel.
Yes.
Okay, unscheduled public comment. Andy, come on out.
I don't believe that what you're talking about tonight is on the agenda, but I'd like to speak to something anyway.
Sure. And state your name and where you reside.
Candace Lugo, I live at 850 West Chicago Creek Road, which is in the county, but I own property in the town of Idaho Springs.
Okay.
And I'm speaking in concern to the Urban Renewal District, so thank you, council, for giving me a moment to speak. I appreciate it very much. I want it on record that I formally oppose to the formation of a urban renewal district anywhere within the city limits of Idaho Springs. The city already has implemented a comprehensive plan in 2017 and the East End Action Plan. The formulation of any district should be voted on by the homeowners, property owners, business owners, and other informed citizens of Idaho Springs. I believe the council would be well-meaning. I believe your interest is to bring more business, to promote more sales tax than the existing businesses do, thus increasing the city coffers to perform needed projects throughout our community. But I fear the long-range consequences of an urban renewal district. Fast forward to a time after you guys have relinquished your positions on the board, and hypothetically speaking, what if down the line someone with less pure interests decides to implement an urban renewal district purely for personal reasons? You've set a precedent to promote their own personal gain. And to quote Alan Teichenbach, in the January 14th, 2019 work session, we can create pods of urban district developments all over town. He further states the Victorians on Virginia Street could easily be blighted, but we, meaning the city, probably won't do it because it wouldn't be popular. But what if a future council didn't feel or didn't care if it was popular? We could easily lose the unique character of our historic mining community and the imperfections and charms which makes Idaho Springs and small towns like it charming and appealing, really. So I'm all for progress. I think what you're doing is you're doing a lot of really good things. But this one feels like an overreach of the council and city administration. I don't believe this onerous and monumental change should be adopted without the knowledge of, consultation with, and agreement from the property owners and citizens who this will impact and many of us negatively. So, I implore you not to proceed with a district without the knowledge or consent of people you serve, and at the very least, take a vote from the public. In closing, I would ask that when Alan's friend, our new city consultant, Elise, from Principal Land Planning, comes to town to assess the blight conditions of the East End property owners, have her assess your homes and businesses too, wherever you live. uncommon excessive. If you're lucky enough not to have more than 4 blight conditions, remember how it felt to know that some authority could come tell you what you had to do to bring your property up to some idea of perfection, where you had to spend your hard-earned money, and in what time frame. Just remember how it felt. And then think about how it will feel if you impose your will on your neighbors, friends, local business owners, and yourselves. If we can deposit these anywhere, it's a big deal. So please think about what you guys are doing before you just slip it in there. Thank you.
And what we'll do also, we usually don't discuss this, but we will have a public meeting to talk about and get input from our citizens. That's what it's all about. And we'll have more information. I don't want to get into it on an open comment, unscheduled public comment. But thank you very much for coming to us and bringing that. That's what we like our residents to do. Bring things like this to the table and
Thanks, Ken.
just what you're thinking. Okay. We are now going to we're coming out of our regular meeting. We are now, put your hat on for the Marijuana License Authority. And we're going to look at a modification of premises. This is not a public hearing, but we will hear from the applicant. And owners of Mount Medicinals, would you come up and talk to us? All right.
Hello, council.
Hello.
It's been a while.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see everyone. So what we're proposing is, we have like a closet, and we're just going through this closet through the walkway. It's just going to be walkway through the bathroom and kitchen that goes right into our process room. It keeps them from going around in our grow room where there's water, obstacles.
Talking about employees.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we can keep it more just straight shot through there. So that's really all it is we just going.
And you'll have to do a modification from the state also, right?
Yeah.
So you're just cutting out that section of wall, putting in a door or something?
Not even a door.
Okay. Just a wall.
So this is not relocation of growing or harvesting or anything, Mary, just.
No.
We're just cutting a hole in the wall.
We're just cutting a hole
When
in
I
the
saw
wall.
the plan, I
Right.
couldn't even, I really had to look at it to see what you were doing. And it took me a while to, oh, that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah. Right now they're walking around in that, and this will just eliminate that.
Yeah.
All right, we will be voting on this in a little bit.
Okay.
So, thank you very much. Does council have any questions for Stephanie and Steve?
Any questions?
Is that something that requires a permit, cutting a hole in the wall? I don't know.
With a demo permit or what?
Diane?
It's non-structural.
Yeah, it's non-structural.
If it's non-structural, you probably don't.
Probably, okay. All
We'll
right.
figure that out.
Hey, thank y'all.
Thanks.
Now we're gonna go to the public hearing. With my sheet here. All right, we're back out of the marijuana licensing authority of Idaho Springs, back into our regular meeting. And this is gonna, so we have a public hearing.
Do we have to make a motion on this yet?
We don't vote on that. We do that now? Okay, motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the modification of premises for Mountain Medicinals, 2313 Colorado Boulevard.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion? Roll call.
Michael Hill.
Yes.
Steph Now.
Yes.
Susie Stokes. Yes. Bob Boland.
Yes.
Mike Hewitt.
Yes.
John Curtis. Jason Segel.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna go into a public hearing for that.
It's in there.
For my. Pull it up, I have it. Sorry, audience. Just a second and then. It won't be in this. so I had it.
You're agreeing with your new agenda, the updated agenda that you have paper?
No, that's the second public hearing. And we have to go around the another one, Diane.
It'll take me a while to type it up.
Huh?
It'll take me a while to type it up.
Oh, you gotta type it up?
Let me look at your phone.
Oh, there it is. It's behind. I thought I put it in. Okay. Sorry. Okay. This is a public hearing. This hearing will come to order. This is a public hearing before the City Council of the City of Idaho Springs on Resolution 2, Series 2019, a resolution conditionally approving a 1041 permit for development in an area or activity of state of interest within the City of Idaho Springs for certain improvements related to the Colorado Department of Transportation westbound I-70 peak period shoulder lane project. If there's anybody that would like to give public testimony, we have a sheet up front for you. So please sign up if you want to give public testimony. The order of this hearing will be as follows: staff introduction and testimony, public testimony sworn in by the city clerk. So now this hearing is now declared open. It is 7:12. We're ready for staff testimony. And just for a background, real quick for the audience, since we've got so many people here. 1041 hearing, any time that CDOT comes through or we change a historic character of our community, it requires a 1041 hearing. This happened probably 17 years ago, that this 1041 document and these permits had to be done with some other communities that were having problems with CDOT, basically saying they came in here and did nothing and didn't ask the city. Now we have some control of what CDOT does. They have to bring in 1041 when they do projects through our community, and that's what this is all about, to making sure that we keep CDOT speak to the fire and that we agree on how this project moves forward and how it's designed, moves forward, and it's finished. So that's the short update. So we'll hear staff testimony, please.
And staff is still having problems loading everything, so give me 1 minute, I'm almost there. Alright, doing the best I can here. I had to reboot the computer because it wasn't recognizing this projector, and now it's being here. You want to tap dance and kill some time here for a minute, Mayor?
How about sing?
Anybody want to sing for me?
No, that's my wife.
Oh, yeah.
That's my wife's swim lane.
This way, silence.
It's not my swim lane.
Took all that time.
Maybe you want to go on to some other
I'm almost ready.
ordinances or resolutions?
Yep, let's do that. Let's kind of move on where we're getting at.
Yeah.
So let's move to, well, no, we're in a public hearing. I can't do that.
That's
I have to close it and reopen it.
Well, in the meantime, while I'm letting it boot, I'll just basically get, as soon as you can get the planning folder, developments, CDOT, planning, developments, CDOT. Alright, so sort of like what the mayor talked about, a 1041 was a process that was enacted by state statute. And what this basically does is it was intended to let cities have some purview over a development that occurs within our city limits when that development is being proposed. In this case, we'll talk about a state agency, because prior to this 1041 process, state agency, I'm not picking on CDOT, I'm just talking about his, I'm not trying to make you guys Darth Vader over there. But,
Give them the history, yeah, that's fine.
but way back when, CDOT could mostly do projects with very little city input, and as a result, many lawsuits, there was a state statute that was passed that says you have to go through this 1041 process, and this is a process where the city actually can weigh in and approve or deny projects that are done through CDOT. Did you get on? Okay, almost there. I wanted to give you some visual aid so it's not as dry as it needs to be. A little more, John. City, go into city, find city developments, the city planning and developments. Let me know when you get in. So this is the 1041 hearing for the westbound peak period shoulder lane. It's very similar to what you saw with the eastbound peak period shoulder lane that was done in 2014, 2015. So the intent of this is, in general, it's a restriping of the lanes on I-70 to facilitate two wider lanes, regular travel lanes, and then the peak period shoulder lane, which is in the middle. And again, I'm going to try to get this up, so bear with me, folks. Sorry about this. I'm almost there. There we go.
I found my paper faster than you're looking at it.
I'm going to blend the projector because it was not recognizing it.
He was giving us problems earlier.
No.
Yeah, they had problems with our other presentation.
I'm doing my best, folks.
But had you lost that, I would have to go retype that.
So at some point, if the little hourglass stops spinning, maybe I'll be able to put it up on the board. So I'll talk a little bit about what the components of this westbound peak period shoulder lane. So the first one is just the two right lanes, and then the middle lane, which right now is the shoulder, will be widened to about 11 feet, and that will be used as this peak period shoulder lane. And this shoulder lane will be used, and I'll let CDOT talk about the highest demand times, but they've looked at when the highest demand times are for westbound traffic, and during that time, there's a dynamic pricing where you pay based on the demand of that peak period shoulder lane. You pay a certain amount, which is through a transponder. You either buy it or there's a photograph that's taken of your license plate and you're billed in the mail. And based on the amount of traffic in the lane at that time, that's how much your toll is. So the first part of this component would be just restriping those lanes. A second part of it, which I really wanted to get up here to show you, is there's going to be some improvements to State Highway 103 bridge. So that the exit 240 bridge, Mount Evans Road, right now there's some limited visibility. When you pull forward on that bridge, you can't really see around the walls. So part of this project is going to involve pushing the stop bars. Those are those little painted bars that you see on the road. They'll be moving those forward, and they'll be doing some improvements by raising up concrete to keep cars from driving into the blind spots so that you can see across the bridge easier. And again, let me try this again and see if I can get this to work. Looks like it might cooperate this time. I'll show you a picture of what these are going to look like. The next thing that's going to happen, and as soon as I get on here, I'll show you what the exit 240 improvements are going to look like.
So you want me to fix it?
Yeah,
Need to do a blight study
I
on our
kind of
computer.
feel that way. I kind of want to do a blight study on our computer right now. Okay, maybe you guys can see this now. So this picture that you're about to see, I hope, is going to be the extent of where the peak period shoulder lane project is going to be. It's going to start from the Veterans Memorial Twin Tunnels, and it's going to go all the way to basically the Empire Junction. This will move over, but it's also running very slowly. There's a picture right here that you'll see in a minute that will show a section of what the eastbound peak period shoulder lanes will look like. And again, there are two new lanes that will be widened and striped. and then the left lane will be restriped for the peak period shoulder lane, which is a wider lane, which will be used, I hate to use the word toll lane, but that's kind of similar to what it's going to be.
And just for clarification, Alan did tell you the perimeters of the whole project. Idaho Springs is only from Hidden Valley to just past 239. The county does their own. They have the same 1041 process that we do, but we don't make decisions for them, and we're just worried about our city limits.
Correct. Thanks for that clarification, Mayor. So we're only talking about the area which is within the city limits of Idaho Springs. So what you see there is a little section of basically what the peak period shoulder lane looks like. So I talked about the exit 240 improvements. That's the Mount Evans Road. So if you see these will come up in a minute, I hope. You'll see these little stamped concretes. So what's happening here is that these improvements are being made to help with better visibility and to keep the cars basically out of the blind spots. Those of you that know this intersection know that it's difficult to see around these bridge walls. So they're moving the stop bars further forward, and they're creating these bumps in order to keep cars out of the blind spots. The other thing that they're going to be doing...
Can you give us some orientation of where that's at? Where the on and off is and everything?
So, let's see. So north is up. So this is the on-ramp here, and I-70 is here. Can everybody see this little... See if I can make it... Everybody can see my pointer?
Yes.
This area here is like where the Mustang stop is, and the come and go and all that. Coming over here, this is the on-ramp here. This is how one of these little stops will be bumped out. So it'll bring you further out into the intersection so that you can actually see around the bridges more. There's several different sections of this that are included. Here's another one. If you look, you'll see that part of this project also involves doing a better pedestrian connection. There's a little sidewalk there. So they'll be doing a better identification of the pedestrian lanes there.
Do you have a laser pointer? Because we're not seeing your mouse.
Yes, I do have a laser pointer. Watch the laser pointer not work. No, I'm not having a good night today. Whose idea was this to get all this technology?
Yeah, it is a
Paper works better. So, all right. There, you can see that one. Hooray. So here's one of the bump outs that I'm talking about, where they're doing stamped concrete. So right now, you can't see around these bridge walls that well when you're coming on. This will help move traffic closer into the intersection. This right here is part of the pedestrian connection that CDOT is doing as part of this peak period shoulder lane. So right now, if you've been out on that bridge, there's a sidewalk, but it's not the friendliest thing to walk along. They're going to be putting in better identification for pedestrians, more lighting, some stamped concrete to sort of give that that feeling of a separated pedestrian walk. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's the next part of this peak period shoulder lane. There's a couple of sections here. I'll go past this one. This is just another one of the same improvements. They're also going to do a very similar type of improvements at the exit 241 bridge. So if you go down to where the roundabout is, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to move the stop bars forward. They're going to use stamp type concrete to keep cars out of the blind sections and provide a better pedestrian crossing experience. The other part of the peak period shoulder lane project, so it's sort of all improvements that are going to be involved with this project while they're working in the right-of-way, is in regard to the Clear Creek Greenway, which hopefully this comes up. So right now, if you know where Waterwheel Park is, it's not the most inviting entrance into Waterwheel Park. There's basically chain link fence there, old asphalt, and you go under a bridge, which is kind of spooky.
Talking about this right out here.
Yep, right behind us here. So it doesn't really seem like an entrance into one of our brand new parks. It's more like sort of an afterthought. Huh?
So all the Tommyknockers live.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So it's basically where the Tommyknockers live. So while CDOT is working in the right-of-way, they're going to do some improvements to the Clear Creek Greenway. One of the things that's going to happen is if you walk under that bridge, you'll notice that there's like a big dirt area there on one side of the fence. They're going to put riprap in there, which is basically sort of a large type of cobble. They're going to take that asphalt and they're going to put concrete in to match the Clear Creek Greenway. They're also, if you look right now, there's chain link fencing out there. That chain link fencing is going to be replaced with that pipe rail. So if you're out in Waterwheel Park and you see that really high quality pipe rail that runs along where the park is, that's what you're going to see coming underneath here. And the other thing is they're going to be putting in better lighting. So it's not going to look so much like an afterthought or a place where creepy people hang out. It'll look more like a trail connection. Now, one of the concerns that the city had, and we've talked to CDOT about this, is we're getting ready to begin the construction of the Clear Creek Greenway literally tomorrow. And that Clear Creek Greenway is going to run right across City Hall here. If you look at CDOT's drawings, so this is basically the bridge. Here, I'll use the laser pointer. So this represents underneath I-70, if you know where I'm talking about. This is that area that's dirt. This is all going to be riprap. If you look at this drawing right now, what happens is it goes underneath the bridge and then it sort of curves around. And if you know where the parking lot, where the city lot and all that is, that's right here. But what we had concerns about is it didn't really show a very good connection to where we're creating the Clear Creek Greenway. Clear Creek Greenway is going to run through here. It's going to run right past City Hall. It's going to go up by the bay.
We got to get back to it. We need to talk about the project at hand, please.
Sure. So our concerns was we wanted to make sure that this was connected seamlessly to the Clear Creek Greenway. So one of our conditions of approval that I'll talk about at the end is to make sure that as CDOT builds this, that they have construction plans that shows that it ties in seamlessly to the section of the Clear Creek Greenway that we're working on. Another element to this project, other than the striping and the new peak period shoulder lanes, is that there is a culvert crossing that's just west of Shelley Quinn Ball Fields, if you know where that is. It's part of the Scott Lancaster Trail, and it goes underneath the highway. There's a box culvert there. As part of this project, they're extending that box culvert, and they're also putting in better lighting to, again, help with the pedestrian experience. There's a couple of safety pullouts that are being put into the city, and I'll show you a graphic in a few minutes of where one is, but the one that we're concerned about is just east of 241 and exit 241, and again, I'll show you that graphic here in a minute. Part of this project will include rock mitigation. They'll do that in several areas. The only place that's nearby Idaho Springs is just inside the city limits west of exit 239. So in between Hidden Valley Road, where the Central City Parkway is in here, there's that large, huge cliff. They're going to be doing some rock mitigation in that area. There's going to be some new signage that's going to go in. If you've been out on I-70 right now, you'll see that dynamic signage that talks about these peak period shoulder lane is open and closed and how much it costs at that particular time in order to use it. And I'll show you some photo sims in a minute of what they're going to do there. Probably the most visible thing that you'll see with this new project is they're going to be putting in a lot of retaining walls. If you look over there right now on the highway, what you're seeing are these guardrails, metal guardrails, and there's also sort of big metal